Hi, ladies, Mr. O'Sullivan. Today we're going to be looking at lesson 7-2A, and actually 7-2B. My apologies, this is a typo. And we're also not doing this on April 13th. We're actually doing this on April 14th. Because Tuesday is a work day, Wednesday you're actually doing a lesson. We're actually just doing extra practice with those two techniques we learned on Monday. So we are dilating points not centered at the origin using the formula way or the translation way. Today we're going to practice both of those approaches on two different sets of problems to verify that we'll get the same answer each and every single time. So the first set of problems we're dealing with are the formula ways. So the steps are right here. So we're going to follow those steps to dilate our points. In our first example, our point is A, which is -4, 9. Our center is G, which is 8, 1, and our scale factor is 2. Remember, that means K is equal to 2. So to find our x-coordinate, so we're going to do that first. We do our center x, so we go to our center, and the x-coordinate is a 8, plus our scale factor, which is 2. And now we're going to do point minus center with our x values. So our x value at our point is -4. Our center is 8. So we're going to do -4 minus 8. We're going to type that into our handy dandy calculator. And we get -16. So that's the x value of our dilated point. Now we're going to do our y value this time. So we have to ask ourselves what our center y is. Well, our center y is 1. We have to ask ourselves our scale factor. It's a 2. And now we do point minus center with our y value. So we go to our 9, and then we go to our 1. So 9 minus 1. We type this into our calculator. And we get 17. So my final answer is -16, 17. Final answer. Okay, number 2. Our center is now up top, our point's down here, and our scale factor is 3. So remember, K is equal to 3. So to find our x-coordinate, we use our center x. So we go to our center, which is C, and x is 1. So to find our x value, we're going to do 1 plus our scale factor, which we said is 3. We go to our point, which is -2, -2, and our x value is -2. And we take away our center, which is 1. We type this into our calculator. And we get -8. So that's the x value of our new point. Now we're going to do our y value. So we're going to find a new y value. So we ask ourselves what our center y is. Well, our center y is 5. So we have 5 plus our scale factor of 3 times our point, so -2 minus 5. And the reason why we're doing those values is because we're dealing with our y values. So now we type this in. And we get -16. So our new answer is going to be -8, -16. And that is your final answer. Good. Let's go on to the translation way, or the translation rule. Sorry, my apologies. The translation rule. For each of the following examples, use the translation rule to dilate the points not centered at the origin. So if you look, these are the exact same problems as above, just with a different procedure. So for question number 1, we should get, right here, -16, 17. For question number 2, we should get -8, -16, or whatever that answer was. So step 1 says, write the center of dilation first. So we're going to write our center of dilation first. So in this case, we're going to write our 8, 1. And now we're going to write the point we're dilating second. So -4, 9. Step 2 says determine the translation from the center of dilation to the point you're dilating. So what I like to do is I like to basically just draw some arrows. So when I go from 8 to -4, I have to ask myself, how do I go from an 8 to a -4? Well, I can just do -4 minus 8, and that will give me -12. So I know 8 minus 12 is -4. How do I go from 1 to 9? I add an 8. So my translation rule is going to be translation of -12, comma 8. Now, step 3 says multiply both numbers of the translation by the scale factor to obtain the new translation. Well, if you look, my scale factor is 2. So I basically just do 2 times -12, which is -24. And now I do 2 times 8, which is 16. And that's my new translation rule. Step 4 says add the new translation to the center of dilation. This is going to be your final answer. So if we look, we're going to take that 8,1, do a translation of -24, 16, and that will give us our final answer. So 8 minus 24, 8 minus 24 is -16. 1 plus 16 is 17. That's my final answer. So if I go back up top, I had a -16, 17, and I have one down here. So I did it correct. So it goes to show you that regardless of the method, you're still going to get the same answer. Question number 2. So I should be getting -8, -16 for this one. So step 1 says write the center of dilation first and the point you're dilating second. So I'm going to write down my center, which is 1, 5. And then I'm going to write my point of -2, -2. Now, step 2 says determine that translation rule from the center of dilation to your new point. So I have to ask myself, how do I go from a 1 to a -2? I subtract 3. How do I go from 5 to -2? I subtract 7. So now my translation rule is t -3, -7. So I'm going to be subtracting 3 for my x value, subtracting 7 for my y value. Step 3 says multiply both numbers of the translation by the scale factor to obtain your new translation. So I'm going to multiply both of these values right here by 3, because that's my scale. So 3 times -3 is -9. 3 times -7 is -21. So now I have a translation of -9, -21. And we're going to take that 1, 5 that we had in the beginning and perform a translation on it. So I'm going to write 1, 5. Translation, -9, -21. And I'm just going to do my arithmetic. So what's 1 minus 9? -8. What's 5 minus 21? -16. And that's your final answer. So now on your edPuzzle, what I would like you to do is respond to the following prompt. Which method of dilating points do you prefer? Technique 1, Technique 2. Explain using complete sentences. Use the following sentence starter. I prefer technique number, then you're going to put 1 or 2, and then because. So this is technique number 2, where we did the translation. And then this is technique number 1, where we did center x plus your scale times your point minus center, and center y plus your scale times your point minus your center. Again, this is Wednesday's lesson on April 14th. If you have any questions, email myself or Miss Colorundo. Have a great day, ladies.